Hello, good evening, everyone. Johnny Risotto here. Welcome to Music Makers Tuesday night break time. And I thought I would start the show by just talking a little bit about what we're going to talk about, and then bringing up all the guests here. So today we're going to talk about the greatest concerts. We've actually were talking about this last time we spoke, last show, and we decided to try to figure out what was the best concert that obviously everyone has their own idea of what their best, but the best, and I don't mean the most popular one, but I mean what do you think is one of the best overall concerts. So let's bring in Mr. Sean, and we're gonna bring Mr. Andres and Mr. Tommy. Yes,
Joey's on the way.
Traditional. What we call this?
Coming in hot.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right,
guys. So today we're going to be talking about our favorite concerts, which I know a lot of people like these conversations because it kind of gets them involved. Matter of fact, I'm going to open up the comment section because I'll have some. We are live now on Facebook, on my personal page, as well as my fan page, on my YouTube channel, and my Periscope. So we're live in a few different places. So we'll hopefully we'll get a couple of comments, people out there.
You can show the comments at the bottom, right?
Favorites.
That's the function that can.
Say it again.
You can show the comments at the bottom of the screen, like when they come in, or certain ones.
Yes, I can just hit it and it'll pop in there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Can you guys see the comment section?
Not sure.
It should be right on the side. It might not be. I think I have it not showing only because if I have a single guest there, I don't want the guest to be focused on it. But I think I could open it up for you guys. So of course I don't know how to do that right now. So anyway,
We want to hear from our fans.
Our adoring fans.
Follow BreakTime Live NJ, all platforms. BreakTime.
all right, now you should be able to see something.
Yeah,
If,
just
if,
popped
if,
up.
if anybody makes a comment, we don't know. If you do make a comment at Judicki's, no, I'm just kidding. Inside,
That's the end of the video, John.
yeah, that's you got to be careful.
Not now,
Go
John.
broke. Really inside jokes.
Wait till the end to hear special announcement.
Exactly. All right, so I'm going to start, and I'm going to start the conversation by talking about one of my favorite concerts that I think probably a lot of people do know about it, and then I'm going to talk about this is one of my favorite concerts, but I'm going to then share my favorite concert that probably not a lot of people know about, but I'm going to share one that I think is kind of popular, and that one is Johnny Cash's Folsom Prison. It's like from beginning to end, it's such a good show.
Wait,
The audience is so engaged.
So
Say it again?
at Folsom Prison, but not the San Quentin one, but the Folsom Prison one.
Fulton, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you had. Oh, okay. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and I just love the whole show is just. Hold on, let me just get some volume here. The whole show is just really incredible, and of course, he interacts with, Johnny Cash having his background in, in the system. He was arrested in jail and stuff like that. So he kind of knows the life, and he remembered the hard times of growing up. And then for him to go back and have that experience, I thought it was just a great show from start to finish. So that's one of my favorites. We can talk about it if you guys have any input on that one. And then my favorite concert of all time is a Santana concert, which from Mexico, and I believe it was 1994. Or 1993. Around that time. I know I could look, but it's not. It's around the early 90s. It was called Santana's Sacred Fire, and it's a live concert in Mexico. It is, to me, his best playing that I've ever seen. To me, I mean, he was just so on fire that day. And the whole band was just so tight, and and he hit. I mean, it was, if you watch the concert, there isn't a bad moment in it. You know what I mean? It was just, for me anyway, and it was just really fantastic, fantastic concert. So those are the two that I wanted to start with. If you guys have any comments on that one, we have Angel Vargas. What's up, Angel? It says, "What's up, John? Thank you for tuning in on Facebook."
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So we're talking about our favorite concerts. So I'm hearing like buzzing. Is that my buzzing?
I hear it too.
I don't know.
I
I don't
mean,
think it's
But it's
yeah.
because I don't know if my volume is too high or something, but see that.
It sounds like your volume might be a little bit too high. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it does sound like my volume, because that happened last night where I listened back to the playback and it was a little bit too loud. All right, hold on one second here.
Turn me down like a little bit just in case.
So I guess I'll take the reins here. Want
Go
to
for it. I'm gonna fix my volume while you do that.
comment on the Johnny Cash concert. Like John said, I agree that nobody could really connect with Prisoners on the emotional level, the emotional wavelength that Johnny Cash could, and only he could control an audience like that, knowing what it's like to be in the system, and basically how to get on a prison fan's side, which is a pretty tough thing to do. So that's from a performing standpoint, a lot of respect to Johnny Cash for that concert and performing at prisons, because a lot of people, prisoners aren't always bad people. They can be reformed, and having the understanding of that and being empathetic enough to perform at a prison and do it multiple times, that takes a lot of guts, and it's he's a very strong person in that aspect.
Yeah, and I just to that point also, one of the things that he doesn't talk down to them during the show. You know what I mean? It's not like I was there and you guys can make it if you just are a genius like I am. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Same level.
Yeah, he just the whole show, he's just right there with them, and I think that's what really fueled the whole show, because they felt that right from the start. So that was a great show. I don't know if you're familiar with the Santana one, but it's in Mexico where he's from, so it's it's sort of like because he's basically from San Francisco. Yeah, I mean, he's from San Francisco. He was raised in San Francisco, and basically American. He speaks Spanish, but he speaks Spanish kind of like I speak Spanish. Like, I speak Spanish well, and I'm fluent in it. I can carry a conversation, but I'm not from there. I don't have that, the whole every single word, like kind of mastered and stuff. So but him going back there was kind of like a pretty awesome thing. So anyway, those are my two, and I have some other ones that we'll talk about. I'll throw them in if you guys pick one of the other ones that I have. But Sean, you want to go next?
All right, let me do it. Okay, so I originally came with one, but now I thought of two. Given John did two, I'm going to briefly cover one, and then, like John did, I will go into detail with the other. So, starting with the first one, it's quite obvious I'm a huge Beatles fan. If you look at the picture behind me here, it's the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band picture.
My favorite album.
Yeah. And the George Harrison Rocky Strat right above it. So
that's something I just realized. That is marvelously put together well.
Thank you, Tommy. So
just
let's start with the Beatles. Has to be the Shea Stadium concert, because that got the ball rolling for thinking about bringing concerts to stadiums and bringing the capability of that to new levels where performers were comfortable on stage, where they could hear themselves and where they could perform and they could really play their hearts out, on a huge stage like a stadium. It was never done before. We wouldn't know if there would have been a band like Queen playing arena rock if the Beatles did not step foot into Shea Stadium when they did.
Yeah, they opened the door. Definitely, they were for that.
Yeah, they could barely hear themselves, and Ringo said that, you know how I kept in time?
Yeah.
I watched everybody's butts.
Yeah.
That's how he kept in time. So that's my first
Must be
one.
right.
Now, like Dave Watson, I'm going to preface this next one with a story. Are you ready for a story, John?
I'm ready for us. So tell me a story, Sean.
All right. Are you ready for a story, Tommy?
Yeah.
Are you ready for a story, Andres?
I love stories.
All right, let's do it. So let me set the scene here. The year is 1968. The month is December. The day is Tuesday, December 3rd, 1968, and the time is 9 p.m. NBC Studios in Hollywood, actually Burbank, NBC Studios, studio audience, got a horn section, got a lively backing vocal troops, wall of sound for this guy who walks out, most famously leather clad, black leather jumpsuit. You guessed it, it's the 68 comeback special. The 68 comeback special for Elvis Presley. Now,
Yeah.
King.
yes, this was his
Zero
return to performing. And boy, did he return. It showed multiple dimensions of the king of rock and roll. It showed the rock star. It showed the actor. It showed the gospel singer. And it showed a mature rock star as well, a mature man. He grew
Performer,
up.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when people look to performers to model themselves after, Elvis is the top of the list because really starting from the comeback special, you could really see how he controlled a crowd. And, you know, the music was great. You know, it was a return to his roots with his band of Scotty Moore, Bill Black, DJ Fontana. You know, that one show, 4 shows, 4 hours, all edited together for one 50-minute special. 42% of the listening audience, according to Nielsen, was watching. TV watching audience was watching that special when it debuted. Elvis's comeback to performing after a long stint of movies he didn't want to do due to his manager, Colonel Tom Parker.
Yeah.
You know,
and
here's
the military too.
He's in the kitchen, but he can sing. Elvis, he's a waiter, but he can sing.
He's a mechanic, but hey, he can sing. And there's a girl that likes him, and she's incredible. But
That was when
he
the
gets
boy.
into a fight with her.
That was when the boy
And then
from Tupelo, Mississippi, became a man because it capitalized on his sexual appeal and put it together with his showmanship, which was a recipe for success, and that's what defined Elvis forever and made him the king.
And also his voice. We've always known his voice to be, you know, it's Elvis, right? Like nobody sings like that, right?
Yeah.
But in that particular show, his voice really became like this thing that was like really powerful, where you saw it wasn't it wasn't this thing that we people imitate, you know. And it shows with the last song of the special, right? If I Can Dream, I think it's the last one.
Yeah.
What a performance on that song.
Nobody could deliver a song like that, man. Like,
no way, man. His voice is like,
that brought me to tears, man. A real man admits when he cries. That brought me to tears.
Yeah, man. I mean, I sometimes I still go to YouTube and I'll still post that up because that's one of the best vocal performances of any song ever. And he has that rasp at the end, you know, where you can see that he just has natural singing ability, but he has that raspy, you know, he's really, really building it at the end. Oh man,
character,
incredible. Yeah, just an incredible performance. So yeah, that's a great special. My mom was a huge Elvis fan, like obsessive fan. So I think she even thought of naming me once Elvis, which I was like, thank God.
Elvis Henry Soda.
I think my grandmother overruled that, but she loved him like tremendously. So there was always Elvis playing in the house, like constantly. So and I was born that year. You said 68, right? That was my year. So I was about 6 months old when that concert was going on, and my mom remembers that show, but because we didn't have any other ways to see it, there was no VCR, there was no YouTube, there was nothing else. She just remembered. She just told me about it. She was like, "Oh, there was this thing he did. It was called his comeback special. It was incredible."
Yeah,
I
originally
don't know.
called Singer Presents. Singer Presents.
Was it really?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
the company that sponsored it. Speaking of Elvis, he had the hardest working drummer in the business when he played in the 70s, Ronnie Tutt. And our
Ronnie Tutt, yeah.
hardest working drummer is actually backstage right now. He can be let in.
Oh,
it's the perfect segue for Joey.
perfect segue. I didn't even know he was there. I didn't even see him. I didn't see a picture. I saw a little cartoon. I wasn't sure if that was a person or what.
Hey
But
guys,
Joey,
what's up?
welcome, Joey.
Joey.
We're talking about.
Let's see your face, man.
Hold on, wait. Let me try and fix this real quick.
Can you see me?
So
this is a running bit, by the way. Can you see me?
we knew it.
There we go.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Welcome.
I don't think anybody can top my delivery of that last one, but I challenge you.
That was perfect.
No, I'm not getting trying.
My outfit is inspired by it, by the way. Anybody watching, it's inspired by
I
the.
see it. Yeah, you need a little bit more light so we can get a better look at it. But
you look gloomy in a dark room with the leather jacket.
You need a spotlight.
You look emo.
He's Johnny Bravo.
There we go. Now we're getting it good. Now we can
I
see
got
it.
my little flip-on spotlight over here.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's a great one. That's definitely a good one. Tommy, do you have a favorite concert of yours that you want to throw out there so we can tell you why it's not the best and why ours is better?
Yeah.
Mine is better, Tommy.
What? What did you say?
Mine is better, Tommy. Yeah. I'm gonna go like that.
Anyway. Yeah, I got a few favorites. One of them is to start off the bat here. One of my favorite ones. I'll tell you two of my favorite ones.
Tell me. Spit it out.
So one of them happened back in 2012. By the end of 2012. And it was the 12-12-12 concert for Sandy Relief. If any of you guys remember that.
Say it again. Concert for what?
The concert for Sandy Relief for Hurricane Sandy.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember
And the reason why it was my favorite was because I felt like just the lineup they had. Like they had a lot of rock artists, a lot of modern artists, like a mix of everything. And if I remember it right, I think Bruce Springsteen started the whole thing off. Yeah, and the E Band, of course. And he really, did a great job there. His performance was just, spot on great. He started off with a song called Land of Hopes and Dreams. Mm-hmm. And then I think he did some, like one or two other songs. And then somebody else came on. I don't remember a particular order off the top of my head, but some of the people that played are The Who, Eric Clapton, who else? It's on the tip of my tongue from Pink Floyd. Roger Waters, Billy Joel performed. Like all these people performed. Yeah. And another memorable moment for me though is when Adam Sandler came on stage and sang a song with Paul Schaefer.
Wow.
It was basically
Adam Sandler. He's hilarious.
Was it O Hanukkah?
What?
Was it the O Hanukkah song?
No. It was a parody of Hallelujah, but it was related to the events going on around
Oh yeah,
Sandy.
screw yeah, yeah, that one.
Yeah. Sandy, screw yeah, yeah. That was one of my favorite moments. It's like that's one of the like biggest things I think I still remember from that whole show is him and Paul Schaefer just singing that. It was just hilarious. And but a lot of the other artists that performed really. And the Rolling Stones too performed. I just remembered.
Oh wow.
And also Paul McCartney. Why did I forget that? Holy cow! Paul McCartney performed. He did a little. I don't know how many songs he did offhand, but I remember him doing like Helter Skelter, like just like flat out like. I'm like, yeah. But that was one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites was a Billy Joel concert called The Last Play at Shea.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And who ended that show?
Yeah.
I wonder who ended that show.
Yeah, but not only that, like it was just like the whole, movie, or in this case a movie. They showed him performing, and then like the artists he performed with at each night. He had like huge people. Like he had like Paul, he had Tony Bennett, he had John Mayer was there, Garth Brooks, whole bunch of artists, and that alone I think just stood out to me like wow, like we got all these people to come, and then of course the shocker was Paul, like how they got him there, and I'm like, if I was at that concert, I would have never known that was going on while he was playing. Like you got to watch it if you never watch it. You got to watch the story because it's like,
I've seen it, and it's incredible how they got him there. They literally had a police escort from the airport to the stadium.
Like, I want to travel all the time like this, man.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And the guy who drove
through, but yeah, they just put him through.
It's like the fastest anybody's ever gone up
there, man. You need to get there.
And the guy driving the golf cart that brings them to the stadium, it's the same guy that drove them when they were the Beatles. It's just amazing.
It was just fantastic,
And then, of course, when Paul did eventually, come on, you just see like everyone's reaction. Like the place was just going nuts. Like even just saying his name, not even playing anything much yet, or just saying his name, the whole place went nuts. Like it was crazy.
It's unbelievable.
And the fact too, like, he was already playing. I saw him standing there like backstage. He's just already playing. I'm like, and then there's a guy like standing right next to him. I'm like, dude, like a behind the scenes or something. He's like standing there. I'm like, if that was me, I would have been like, man, this is cool.
That reminds me of a moment that happened during that concert when Mark Rivera played the New York State of Mind sax solo when Tony Bennett was out there. And after he was done with his solo, he looked back at the drummer and he said, that's freaking Tony Bennett, man.
Do you know who that is?
I had to make it PG, but he said another word. But he said that's freaking Tony Bennett, man.
Yeah.
I think also a lot of times we forget that these guys also idolize these guys they're playing with. They just happen to get this opportunity. So a guy like Billy Joel, who grew up right around that era when the Beatles had already did what they did, and for him to be on stage, having Paul McCartney close him out at Shea, it's just, for him, he's just like sitting there like, I can't believe this, So you can always see, you always see their expression on their face and how shocked they are.
And even like with when they performed, I saw her standing there in Last Play at Shea in the concert series that he did at Shea, closing it out. Billy Joel didn't really sing much. He just let Paul do it because it's like, I'm just gonna sit here and relax. I'm just gonna enjoy this. Why do I have to sing anymore? They see me sing enough. Just let him do it.
It's like he just wants to enjoy the moment.
Yeah, where a performer could actually be a fan while he's on stage. That doesn't happen for a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing. All right, so Andres.
Yeah, so I
What do
already,
you got?
I also only had one, but I thought of another. Ironically, it's the same band though. It's my first one is Metallica when they played in Moscow in '91, like 2 years, 2 months before the USSR was disillusioned,
Mhm.
and I think that's crazy. Well, first of all, they played in front of 1.6 million people. That's
I know. I've seen footage of that. It's
it's a
unreal.
little ocean of people.
Yeah.
1.7 million.
Yeah. It was an ocean of people. But and then aside from that, the whole social aspect, because this is a place where hard music was like outlawed. You could
Right.
have any kind of music that allowed that kind of expression, and all of a sudden you get the biggest heavy metal band that was in their prime
Yeah.
at the time. Like they had just released the Black album.
Yeah.
That was an insane experience for everyone. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Guns N' Roses was also playing with them, I think. I'm not too certain. But they had been having an interesting tour because I know Metallica and Guns N' Roses weren't on the best of terms. There was times when Axl Rose wouldn't come out on stage. And then they ended up in the audience having a total riot.
Yeah, he did that a few times. The guy.
Yeah.
Don't need to start a
Yeah.
riot.
He was kind of a little while. But actually, to go back to the artist we were just talking about, Billy Joel. Billy Joel was in he did the Back in the USSR concert,
Yeah.
and
Matter of trust.
so he kind of opened the doors, I guess in a sense, right? Because this was right during the end of the Cold War, I believe.
Yeah, this was 91 where they did that. I don't know when he was over it.
Yeah, I think
believe
Billy Joel
Elton
was
John
earlier than
performed
that.
before Billy Joel, actually. Elton John played with Ray Cooper. They were the only two people in the Elton John band allowed to play.
Huh.
So they went over in, I think it was '79, and they performed a show just by themselves, and the audience, they couldn't. Well, all they could do was clap if they started like clapping during the song or expressing themselves. The guard
get
would come
shot.
and sit them down again, and don't do it again, or you're out of here. That type of thing. So it was the weirdest thing to ever happen for
I can
Elton,
imagine.
because he lives off of the energy. He gets up and he goes, "Come on, yeah, like that," and he couldn't do that.
And everybody's like,
Yes,
Wow,
this
that's
is
weird.
good. This is good. Yes.
He
yeah,
couldn't even smile. He just go.
exactly. Good tone. Good tone.
Why are we
Oh, man.
why are we talking about this?
Then my second concert, I just think it's just great for bragging rights, was when Metallica had a concert in Antarctica to become the first band to play in all 7 continents. I just thought that was insane. They
They
flew,
really did that?
yeah, like 10 years ago, they had a concert in Antarctica. They flew out like a bunch of people. And
He didn't freeze to death.
Tell me, how did they do it? Because I would love to play all 7 continents now.
I don't know.
I mean, theoretically,
we're gonna have to
if-
talk after about that one.
theoretically, if you have money for the plane tickets, anybody can play the 7 continents.
Yeah, they just set up like a heated tent or something.
Yeah,
Um,
just play. Wow, that's
I
crazy.
Yeah, I think it's called Metallica Freezes Over or something. That's like you look that up on YouTube, it'll come up. But that's just
Like
insane. The logistics
like
look to be
Eagles.
crazy.
Well, the Eagles had a
No freezes over.
and because they apparently when they broke up, they said, "Well, hell will freeze over before I play with these guys again," and then they finally did. Money was right, and then it was called Hell Froze Over.
Yeah.
That was a great show too, by the way. Right? I think was that more of an
Great
acoustic
tour.
show? I feel like that was more of a laid-back acoustic show, or maybe that was not the one I'm talking about.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen it.
I don't remember.
haven't watched it in a while.
By the way, if you guys are interested, there's a great documentary on the Eagles. It's a 2-parter. It's long. It's like long. I think it's like 5 hours or something, but it breaks up into 2 parts. It's really great. If you guys are interested, check it out.
Great.
We got
It's
plenty
a
of
great
time.
quarantine watch. It's a quarantine watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
We
go.
have nothing else to do.
So, yeah, those are great ones. Joey, what do you got?
Joey.
Joey.
You said best live performance, right?
Best live concert. We should one day we should do performance.
I'd say best live concert I've seen. I've seen a lot of good ones. Probably a toss up between Brian Setzer and Huey Lewis. I don't know. They were just so tight.
Yeah. Now, were these shows
But,
that
I
you
saw-
went to?
What?
Were these shows that you went to, or shows that you experienced on video?
Oh, I went to them.
Oh,
So,
okay.
like, both of them I went to what is it? Wilmont Theater in Montclair.
Uh-huh.
And Huey Lewis I went to what is it? Westbury Theater and St. George Theater. Both of them, I think one of them was in Staten Island and the other was in Long Island. But
Cool.
yeah, they did they were tight as always.
Yeah.
They weren't with the Tower of Power though, but like in the 80s. But they still had a like really tight horn section. So yeah, and then Brian Setzer, man, like that was a freaking party.
Yeah, Brian was an incredible musician, man. What a great his guitar
Absolutely.
playing, his whole setup is just so freaking awesome.
Oh yeah, by far.
Oh, we
And,
have Mark. Mark is on here. He says meeting Rush in Toronto for a benefit. You met Rush for oh my god, I've seen Rush
How
like
did
so
you
many
do that?
times, and it's funny. I didn't put Rush on my list because out of all the I've seen them live like 10, 15 times or something in the last 20 something years, and they've been fantastic. I mean, every single show is just incredible. But a favorite concert, like Rush is always Rush.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't think that they've ever really, like there's certain bands that you can say they played better at this show than this show. But Rush, I've seen them tonight. I can't tell you a show that was better than the other. I remember every time just having my face ripped off and just being like in heaven when these guys were playing, and it was just a wall of just incredible power and sound. These three guys. But I was just like, that's amazing, Mark. You gotta tell me that story one day. I could definitely want to hear that.
You guys should come on here and talk about it.
Yeah, right. So, and we Rush had always a bit of a. They're known as a live band, right? I mean, when your name is Rush, you can't. It's Rush, right? So
Yeah.
you have to be exactly what you are on stage. You have to produce that every single time, because there are legendary bands that I've seen in video live and are pretty rough. I'll give you an example. It's like nobody here put Led Zeppelin on any of these lists.
Yeah, it's true.
Led Zeppelin I think they're amazing. I think they're great, but I've seen some of their live
Oh yeah,
performances.
they're a whole nother animal, man.
We could talk about their reunion at Live Aid. That was a disaster, man.
That was so bad. I mean, his guitar, Jimmy Page's guitar was out of tune. They got how is your guitar out of tune? You're playing Live Aid in front of, what was it, 80,000 people or something like that?
It was actually, I think it was 100,000 in Philadelphia.
100,000 was it?
100,000.
Yeah. Was it at Wembley?
That was JFK Stadium, I think it was.
Oh,
called.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, how does that happen? You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. But
I mean,
then again, when they did the celebration day, when they came back again, whenever this was, 2012, I want to say, or something like that, and they came back, maybe even earlier than that. Man, they were good. I mean, these guys were tight, and they had John Bonham's son, playing drums.
Oh, wow.
And they were so freaking tight. I was so excited when that, when it goes dark and then it goes dun, dun. I mean, I was like,
like when they did even when they did like Kashmir, I feel like out of all the versions I've heard of that song, live, not live, whatever. That was probably my favorite version by far. I don't know why, but it was
Yeah,
my
no, it
favorite.
was great.
Just so tight, like
Yeah, they played
the guitar,
great, man.
drums, vocals,
I
everything.
mean, I get angry with them. I really get angry with them because I don't know why don't they just go out and do a full world tour? Go out for like 2 years. Back then, I don't know. I don't think they can do it now, but go out for like 2 years and just say hello to your fans. 3 of the guys out of the 4 are still around, and the 4th member is the son of the guy. You got Led
I mean,
Zeppelin
maybe
there.
that's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Get,
it's just
get
like
out there and do it. It aggravates me. I don't know
Yeah,
why
I
they
guess-
don't do that.
I mean, my
And Jason
thought,
Bonham is incredible.
yeah, and I
He's
even
a-
seen his like Led Zeppelin tribute band. I forget what it's called now. I think they changed the name again. But at the time, it was called
With Jason Bonham, I think, right?
Oh, with
Yeah,
Jason, yeah.
Jason Bonham,
Yeah.
Jason,
Yeah,
yeah. And I
he's a
saw
great
it-
player. He's a great player. So, let me see. What was So, Joey, do you have a particular live concert like on video that you've seen that you had?
Oh,
you want
yeah.
to add? Like,
Several.
Yeah.
One of them being the Police reunion tour from 2008.
which one?
The Police reunion tour from
Oh,
2008.
yeah. I was thinking
Yeah.
about that earlier.
I've watched that like for God knows how many times.
Yeah. Do you know who was at one of those shows? Was George, my cousin that was here that came in. He
Oh.
went to see them.
He was there?
Yeah, he was there. Well, he was at one of the final shows for the 30th anniversary thing, and he says that he couldn't believe how good these guys were. They were just phenomenal. He was blown away. And I've seen
Wow.
Sting live a couple of times, but I never saw the Police.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I wish I saw them live too. But
Yeah.
yeah. Around that time, I didn't really know much about them. At that time, though, like I love how just Stewart's playing overall. Like it felt the most professional, like compared to his earlier performances, because he was already a beast drummer like before. But
Yeah.
I think he was just like, I don't know. The group was just way more locked in that time. Like they sounded
Yeah.
like real professionals. I think like during their earlier days, that's why like they sounded more like raw punk.
Yeah, and I think also Stewart and Sting, they were always fighting.
Yeah.
They would fight backstage. They would get into fights, and they'd have to separate them, and then they'd have to run up on stage and do a song and play. And then at the end of the show, they come back out and start beating each other up again. So even till this day, I don't know if you ever saw. They were interviewed. You know Elvis Costello.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Elvis Costello has he has a series called I think it's called Spectacle, and he invites these musicians on his show, and it's a stage, and he gets to interview them, and then they get to play some of their music. They play some of Elvis music, and they'll play some, and he had the Police on, and in the conversation, this is not that long ago, but in the conversation, you can hear Sting and Stewart going at it while they're being interviewed, and Sting is like, yeah, but I'm right about that. And he's like, oh, he's always like that. He thinks he's right about everything. And I'm like, you guys are like in your 60s now. Like, you guys aren't in your 20s. I'm like, can you guys just chill out? But there's still that tension in there. And I think it's for the fact that Sting doesn't want to tour with the Police. He didn't want to do a big world tour where they go out for a couple of years. And I know that Andy and Stewart did want to do that. And I think that kind of upset them a little bit. So, it's a lot of money for them also that they're tied into this one guy that they can't do anything unless he says go. They can't go out as the Police without Sting. So I guess there's a little bit of resentment on the money that they can probably make that'll take care of them and their families for generations, So that's a little frustrating. Probably for them. That's a great show. A great concert. So we got some great concerts here.
And I think like in the previous shows that they had, like Stewart's a beast drummer, but he loved to push the tempo.
Yeah.
So but in that concert, like Stewart was probably the closest to a metronome, like out of all of his performances.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, he sounded so in the pocket.
Yeah, he talked a little bit about that on that interview. I was watching it last night. Believe it or not, this is how weird it is that you brought that up. But last night I was watching this. That's why it's fresh in my mind. But he talked about how they were really really tight. He says that the last couple of shows they've been the tightest they've ever been, and he talked a little bit about how his drumming he was a little bit more in the pocket. So that's exactly what's his intention. I think he's growing up a little bit. When you get to be in your 60s, you start to grow up and figure out what you want to be in when you grow up. So I guess he just decided he's gonna start chilling out.
Yeah.
But that's definitely a great show.
So, Joey, I actually have one more for you
Go for
because
it.
you did mention this to me before when we talked about this topic. The sports tour, the Huey Lewis and the News sports
I was
tour.
just about to bring that one up too. Legendary, man. Freaking
Tower of Power,
legendary. Tower of
Open Day
Power,
One.
Mark Russo at the top of their game, and Huey and the band just killing it as always. That was probably the best tour in my opinion.
Yeah, well, that's awesome.
But I think that tour and specifically it had one of the best sax solos in rock and roll by Mark Russo. If you guys check out the Trouble in Paradise song that they did live, man, because Johnny Collins started off the solo and then it went right into Mark Russo. But yeah, like you guys are just gonna have to see that. Like
Huey Lewis
I'm
and
gonna check
News
that out
were
later.
like the hottest bands on the circuit at that time, like in the world. It amazes me that they weren't at Live Aid, were they?
Nope.
no,
Amazes me that they were snubbed because they were riding high that entire year,
Yeah.
like 84 and 85. That like they were riding
Yeah,
high.
like-
They could do no wrong.
So I was gonna talk about Live Aid. I also was gonna talk about Woodstock for a second, but
John did it again. He made another transition.
well, let's talk about Live Aid first. So Live Aid was an incredible event, right? I think it might have been one of the first ones. I know there was an earlier concert that's not as popular. I can't remember the name of it now, but it was also for another purpose like that. Produced by the same guy, right? I think put together by the same guy. It was big, but not as big as Live Aid, or at least not as popular as Live Aid. But Live Aid had a tremendous amount. I think Live Aid revitalized the career of Queen, right? Queen came out, and up to that point, Queen was a band that was big in the 70s and was just kind of playing shows throughout the early 80s, but nothing really major. And then Live Aid came out. They come out and they do, I think it's like 22 minutes of an incredible performance that is probably is one of the top live performances in the history of music.
All time.
Yeah, the whole time. Yeah, the whole time. Everything from his voice to the performance to running around, the guitar. It was just an incredible. Brian's guitar was like sounded. Everything was just so perfect, and after that, they were just an arena band, right? They would just play stadiums after that. It was like there was no holding them back. And then you had Led Zeppelin come out, who same situation, right? They were in the same situation. They were huge in the 70s, kind of like drugs and all that stuff happened in the 80s. John Bonham dies in 1980. And then here they are in this opportunity. They come out, guitar untuned. They sound their timing is off. Yeah. I mean, they were so rough. It was just really such a bad performance for them. I really felt bad. And here's two bands that they both just been arena bands instantly, but for whatever reason, it just didn't happen for Led Zeppelin. Not that they have anything to prove, right? But still, it would have been nice to see that happen. So who else stands out for you in Live Aid for you guys? If you guys remember the concert.
All right. So, actually, Andres, do you have one?
I was gonna say David Bowie.
Ah, yeah.
Played Heroes.
Yeah. Didn't he sing with what's her name? Was he singing with from the Eurythmics? What's her name?
Tina Turner?
No, not Tina Turner. I
That
can't
was,
remember.
yeah, that was Mick Jagger.
Yeah, no, that was Jagger. I can't remember, but I know David Bowie did there was a live performance somewhere. Maybe it's not from Live Aid. I thought it was from Live Aid. It might have been a rehearsal for Live Aid. But anyway,
Annie
yeah,
Lennox?
he was great. Say it again.
Annie Lennox.
Annie Lennox. I could have sworn that I saw them actually singing together on something, and so I got to check that out. But yeah, David was great. Who did you have, Sean?
So, for a negative reason, this band stands out for me. It is the Beach Boys. Their performance, it was so lackluster because it wasn't the same. Just like Led Zeppelin, they didn't have their original drummer. Brian Wilson was under the guise of Dr. Lando, who was doing a very, very intensive and bad treatment on him that he was just barely aware. And Brian Wilson, in my opinion, is the Beach Boys. He is the identity of the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
And if he struggled so much in that performance, then everybody else's performance went down. Only one person could make Mike Love's voice sound good in the context of a band like the Beach Boys, and that was Brian Wilson. And to see him in that state, and just being the shell of the band that they were without Dennis in the back holding it down, it was just a bad performance. Using hindsight now, I would have replaced them with Huey Lewis and the News with the Tower of Power, and I would have preferred to watch that instead. Since they were red hot, not like a nostalgia thing like it was, but it was great for the people that grew up on that music. But it was just a bad performance overall.
Yeah, and I mean, we can go into a little bit of get a little bit deeper into this about how drugs played such a part on those two bands that we just mentioned, Led Zeppelin and the Beach Boys. Drugs, where Queen had just, Freddie Mercury was never really a big drug guy. I think he drank and stuff like that, but they were just on point. They were aware, and poor Brian Wilson, who's a genius. I mean, Pet Sounds is like one of the greatest albums of all time. He's
trying to compete with the Beatles, and he's doing it by himself. Like who he's on another level. Seeing that happen across the Atlantic,
Right, he's on another level, like the Beatles. But you take and you add psychiatric medications and drugs, and then you add a doctor doing whatever. That's the results. That's the results. And it's funny that those two we chose as like the worst, and they both have substances. Because I remember Jimmy Page at that point was at the height of his heroin. Like I saw Jimmy Page live at some show. He was by himself. He came out in this. It's on YouTube somewhere. It's a light blue corduroy looking pantsuit thing. He's this skinny. He's got his hair over his face, and he's pale white. He comes out with his double neck guitar. I think it's his SG, I guess, right? And he plays a Stairway to Heaven instrumental. Right now, he plays this. It's so bad. His playing, I loved it because it's such a great song, and I just love his guitar playing. But it's so rough. Like you could hear, he's struggling, and he's pale white. He's got a cigarette hanging off of his lip, and his hair is coming in, and his hair, you could see his hair is getting burnt. And I'm just like, dude, I'm like, what are you doing? But anyway, he survived it somehow.
A substance induced performance. The other person that was also at the height of their drug use, specifically cocaine, was Elton John, and his performance. His performance was all right, but he was having sound issues. Like he had gotten used to playing under the influence of cocaine, and he had these fast performances, and he was heavily relying on that stuff, and he was constantly going with his nose like that.
Yeah. Yeah,
It-
Elton
it's-
was one of those guys that took it to the. He had a big drug problem.
yeah.
He tells the
Well,
story of how
everything
he
to the fans, but
Yeah.
that's not the way to do it.
right. He actually tells the story of how he would lock himself in his room because he didn't want any light to come in. Like so he got staplers and he stapled his curtains, these dark curtains to the wall. So so not 1 ounce of light would come into the room. He didn't want any light from outside coming into the room. I mean, that's how the drugs got him, it got him to that point, and God bless them because these guys are still around, and yet Freddie Mercury, unfortunately, is no longer with us. But the guys are still around, and they're still they made it. They survived the. But just think of how much music they could have created had they not had those moments of just being gone. They could have created 10 more albums each.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not only thinking about them, but think about Eric Clapton too, like with
Oh,
his
man.
story. And
he
he
was another one.
his son, he writes "Tears in Heaven," and he prays to
Yeah.
God, God, please give me the strength to get over my addictions, and so I can be here to be here for my fans, be here for me, and help me
Mhm.
love myself.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and he tells the story of how when he was on. You probably have seen this interview where he says that if he loses that dizziness feeling, that feeling when you drink, if he loses it, he starts getting panicky. He has to stay in that moment where he's like constantly in like this high drunk state, or else he gets panicky because now he's coming down and he's like, no. So that's a really, I mean, he's one of those guys also that just, how is he still here is a miracle. But these guys they're operating also on another level, another plane. They're so creative that they just, that's how they are. They're not operated so much by the body as they are by the spiritual aesthetic wavelength that I talk about. And they're it's amazing. So let's move on a little bit to Woodstock, which is probably, I guess, the most famous concert that everybody references as being like this incredible. Let me actually just say, first of all, that during the 1969 concert of Woodstock, the Hong Kong flu was
Pandemic,
ripping
yeah.
through America, killing 100,000 people. I think in America, and killing like 1 point something million worldwide. It was a huge
held the
pandemic,
concert.
way more serious than what we're currently having now. But Woodstock happened. How many people were in Woodstock? Not practicing social distancing. I mean, it was like 1 million people there. A concert that was supposed to only bring in. I think they said they were only going to have about. I could be wrong about this, but I think they said like 4,000 people. I think. Like I think they thought in their minds there would be about 4,000 people, and it ended up being 3 days of whatever it was, 1 million people, and they destroyed the whole town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other
Yeah.
and other
You know,
unmentionable things.
Yeah,
We
I,
keep-
I won't go into those, but one of the tragedies about that concert for me is that I actually do not like it as a musical concert. I like it as a historical event, and I watch it. I've watched it numerous times because of wow, here are all these guys basically at the beginning of their careers. Some of these people you don't even really know. The best performance I thought was there with Richie Havens. He came out and he sang "Freedom." He died a couple of years ago, maybe last year, I think. He was the best performance. It was just him and his guitar, and everyone else was okay. Jimi Hendrix was loud, and his everything was falling up. It was rumbly. It was but I mean that was his style also. But Santana played also, and Santana's guitar was so high pitch. It had so much treble on it
Mm.
that I remember if you're on that stage, you're deaf if you're in the front rows because that just goes. So what do you guys thoughts on Woodstock? Have you guys checked it out and
Well,
studied it?
Tommy, you could talk about Creedence here.
Oh yeah,
tell you one artist that really comes to mind when Woodstock is mentioned, and that is Creedence Clearwater Revival.
yeah.
Big Woodstock concert. That concert has a story. Now, I'm not John Fogerty, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story. So they were supposed to go on, I believe, I can't remember what time exactly they were supposed to go on. I think like 9:00 or something. So they get to the gig, and then what they weren't told beforehand, before they were supposed to go on, the Grateful Dead was going to play before them.
Oh no,
This is where the problem starts. Because once the Grateful
I
Dead
forgot about that. Yeah.
they go on, I think about midnight or something. And they play for like however long, and then all of a sudden they won't play anymore. And the Creedence was thinking, okay, let's go. And it's like, nope, they're not done. And what they weren't told before, or that day rather, and they found this out a few years later in the 90s or something, that all the members of the band of the Grateful Dead had taken LSD.
No way! Wow!
So and he tells
You
us,
see the try with diamonds.
and then John tells when he tells the story, he goes, and this is basically what was going on stage. Hey Jerry, yeah man, where's my guitar? I don't know, man. Woodstock, ladies and gentlemen. And then eventually the Creedence did go on, and they go on, and everybody in the audience was asleep by this point. And apparently the Grateful Dead was the cause of that. That's the funniest part about it. And there was only one guy that was like at least awake when they were performing. And he was holding up a letter going, "Hey John, we're with you." And I'm like, Jesus. Like that show.
Oh man. Just say everybody say what's up to
Yes, but
Hey Andres, you have a Woodstock story? Any of your favorite?
I didn't know this till recently. I haven't watched like the Woodstock DVD. I actually need to watch that. But apparently, it turns out one of my favorite bands that played the Paul Butterfield Blues Band wasn't included in the DVD. They're included in the album, but they're not in the DVD. They played 7 songs. But
man.
yeah, like one of their songs is in the album, so it would be cool to see the footage. There's footage on the internet. I want to go see it now. But yeah, I had no idea they played. I just Googled it really quick.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it was one of those concerts that turned out to be more of an event than anything else.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to get your sound, and that's another thing about Live Aid that you really also have to kind of understand that, there's just one stage with a bunch of equipment on it. And yeah, you can come in and bring your stuff and your amp, whatever, but you haven't been mixed properly to you.
Yeah.
Because every band has their own mixer, they have their own engineers, and I'm sure they're in there trying to get the best sound that they possibly can. But it seems like whoever was engineering for Queen was the best. They won basically. They won the night. I think
in the movie they raised
U2,
the main fader up. That's cinematics. Yeah. Here you go. Don't go here, but I'll do it anyway.
Exactly. I think U2 was actually. I think they were pretty good too. I don't remember. I mean, they were very young band at that point. But I think they were pretty good for Live Aid. As far as Woodstock is concerned, I know Joe Cocker was good. And I love Joe Cocker. He was fantastic. Yeah. Crosby, Stills, and Nash, I think we're going to be on. We're on with Neil Young. Yeah. trying to think who else was on that was. I guess what's her name? Janis Joplin,
Janis
right?
Joplin.
She came
I was
on.
going to talk about Janis Joplin. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was her like coming out.
Yeah.
gig. That was her debut.
yeah,
Like her
she's great.
performance in Ball and Chain. You know that got who was it from the Mamas and the Papas that was there that like she totally like blew her socks off and like she had to live up to her blues sound now that natural growl in her voice that
Yeah.
makes Janis Joplin, you know.
Yeah, was
Joey,
it Mama Cass?
yeah, Mama Cass, yes.
Yeah.
Hey Joey, you have any impressions on Woodstock?
Unfortunately, man, I don't know much about it. I wish I did.
Yeah, it's I mean it's one of those things that's almost like a historical event at this point. It's like if you want to know about it's like if you're into like wars and you want to go see what the Civil War was like if they had footage of it.
Yeah.
Go to Gettysburg. You know, you
So this
go
is
to Woodstock.
footage of like one of the first early major concerts with a bunch of people. Because I don't think before that this
There
really
was no
happened.
legendary lineups of bands like that.
Yeah, there was no stuff like this. It was like the first time that ever happened. So it is good historical context for you guys to have as a band because it's also good to know as a band, knowing that at any time there might be some show that you guys might be asked to play, and you guys got to be prepared. You got to be prepared for a few things. You got to be prepared for other bands sabotaging. It has happened. I've seen it happen. And it happened to me once on stage. Somebody untuned my guitar, like like it was on stage, and luckily I had two of them. But I get on stage and like it was so untuned that it was like wobbly, like the strings were wobbly right before I got to play. So I was like, oh my god. I just opened up my other guitar and I played the show, but somebody went up there and did that. So you have to be careful. There are people out there who are, just jealous and just
I'll
have
tell you
mental
what,
problems.
my guitar will be in my hands at all times.
Yeah,
And you know one thing I
Best thing.
learned from
Guitar Tech or something. I don't know.
one thing I learned from the gigs that BreakTime has done from the people I've talked to, that they have always said that you don't be an a-hole to other people or to your sound guys or to your techs, because you'd rather spend more time on the way up than on the way down. You're guaranteeing your way on the way down if you do that. The karma does exist, and the people that are good normally they have a long way and a long duration being at the top. You don't want to be a bad person to the people around you in the business.
Yeah, and I knew that also going in. I remember going up to engineers and just figuring out who's the engineer for the club I was playing and getting to know them and just kind of being on good terms with them and then asking them, hey, you guys, you want anything? And buying them a drink, right before the show. It's, hey, we're gonna get drinks. You want anything? And getting them something. So then when we go up there, they're more likely to be like pay attention a little bit more and kind of help you, help you out and stuff. Especially when you're playing the smaller clubs. It's not like that anymore. The clubs now, they know that there's more at stake if the band sounds bad. In the old days they didn't care. There was like, you brought in your 20 people, we got our money, we don't care what you sound like. Now it's a little bit more, the people that are there want to hear a good band, and they're gonna blame the club, not so much the band. And with social media, it's also another tool that they can get
around like, oh, the music sucked, man. That was horrible. I'm never going.
Yeah, we're never going there again.
But that music sucked, man. I had the best burger at that place, but I'm not going back to the music fan. I'm out. -5 stars.
Exactly. So that's what happens with that.
That concert freaking sucked. Joey,
okay, Tommy.
I was actually looking
relax,
at
Tommy. We got
Yelp reviews 4 bars recently because I have been expanding BreakTime's database and just looking into places. And one of the reviews was they didn't have live music, but there was a jukebox, but one of those like modern jukeboxes where they have all the prearranged set lists on Spotify playlists. And the person who reviewed said that they didn't have any R&B or soul music. And this bar, it's a great environment, it's great decor, and great people, but just for the fact that they didn't have music to accommodate me, I have to knock it down like 2 or 3 stars. My experience wasn't the best, and I don't recommend going here if they're gonna narrow your music tastes in their establishment.
Well, I respect her. I respect that because she's putting music where it's supposed to be important.
Yeah.
It's an important thing. So it's not, and I think a lot of venues probably don't. They think that they can just get away with like a cheap, one of those cliche or not cliches, one of those niche thing like a jukebox that's not a real jukebox, like the Spotify playlist, and it looks retro and makes people think like, oh, look at this jukebox, it looks retro, but it's really just a Spotify playlist, which is all BS, and then not really pay attention to what the people want to hear.
They don't have consumer choice. That's America. Consumer choice drives America.
That's right.
And don't bet against America. So
do not have a socialist restaurant. Let's stay away from socialist restaurants. So let's talk a little bit about I think Joey had said something that I thought was interesting about best performance, musical performance, like maybe one song that was performed on something. Kind of a little off topic, but what time is it? Yeah, we've already got an hour. Jeez.
Which song like that we played?
It's entertaining.
Yeah. No, I was saying because Joey, you had mentioned in the beginning about the shows you went to, but then you had said musical performance, and I thought, just one musical performance, a band that comes out that just blows everything away. And does one song. Yeah. On TV, I guess it would have to be, or on some TV show or something. I see Sean has one.
Joey, I
also have. I'm probably gonna have to think about it.
All right.
Yeah. That's
so I'll go. All
right. Go ahead, Sean. You go and Joey will think.
But there was this tribute to George Harrison. I can't remember if it was when he was put in the Hall of Fame or not, but all these people that have been connected to George Harrison in some way. Tom Petty was on stage playing a 12-string. Who else was there? The most important person, though, the soloist, Prince. Yeah.
Damn it, Sean,
nobody ripped the solo like that.
Sorry.
While my guitar gently weeps. That was the raunchiest, most masculine solo ever, most melodic solo ever on that song in any of his performances. And he just threw the guitar when he was done. He was like, I'm out.
I was going to mention that a lot of people still don't know where that guitar is. I swear to God, it's like a mystery. I've seen the footage like 1,000 times, and I've tried to see like where it would be caught. Somebody was up on the top, they caught it, but the actual guitar itself, it's like a mystery. He takes it off and he just throws it up and walks off the stage, and it disappears.
Like a total boss. Yeah, he owned that.
He's unbelievable. Yeah, Prince, and Tom Petty. I remember Tom Petty was like, I think Tom Petty seemed angry at the beginning that he was kind of like taking over the whole show, and then at some point, if you look at Tom Petty, because I've studied this thing a lot. If you look at Tom Petty, he kind of like pulls back a little bit afterwards, and he's kind of like. And he's kind of smiling and stuff, and then Prince,
because he elevated that performance. You got to play your role in the group, and Prince took over.
Prince was a monster, man. He was amazing. I would say that's definitely one of the top performances of one song anywhere. It's incredible. I mean, you could also look at, like, for me, Michael Jackson in early '80s on the 25th anniversary of Motown. It was the first time that Michael Jackson was Michael Jackson. Like, he did the moonwalk and he did the spins and all that stuff. Like, before that, nobody knew nobody did anything like that. It wasn't like a thing. Yeah. I mean, there was like Jackie Wilson, and there was like guys like what's his name? Can't think of his name now. You guys know the what's his name? James Brown. That was my really that was my really bad James Brown.
His moves are unparalleled.
There were those guys.
Dynamic performers of all time, James Brown.
Yeah, and but Michael Jackson came on, and when he did that, I remember I was watching it. It was one of the things I watched because I remember the Jackson 5 was going to come out, and they all came out and they did their thing and stuff, and then Michael's like, yeah, those were really great songs, but those were the old days, and everybody starts clapping, and then he puts a hat on and goes dum da dum da dum 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 dum, and I was like, I didn't understand it. Then he did the moonwalk, and we were like, ah! And the next day from that performance, Michael Jackson was like on the top of the world. I mean, he was just it. Because before that, he had that album, Off the Wall, and Off the Wall did really well. Produced by Quincy Jones. It was a great album.
Wonder on it.
Yes, a great album. But it did well, but it didn't do what right after that. Billie Jean, and right after Motown 25th anniversary. Then the Thriller album blew up, and then Michael Jackson became the biggest star in history. And that was that. So I mean, I think of that always when people say a one performance. I think of that as a big one also. Yeah. So, and there's a lot of other ones that are smaller. Not that big, because that to me is a big one. But I would say also Elvis Presley. To me, at the end of the '68 special, to me that one song.
That was a seminal performance.
One of the best vocal performances ever. There's a lot of things.
Actually, not only did I cry, but the first time that my dad saw it, and actually to this day when he sees it, he's like,
I get emotional.
Like, I'm not gonna cry, kind of guy.
Yeah.
But that one song, it always gets him. It always gets him.
Because it's such a powerful song, and it's so lyrically, it's so powerful, right? Like if you read the words lyrically, you cry just from the words, and then the delivery is just so perfect.
Yeah,
it's just the perfect storm for that. So, all right, guys.
Hey, Andres, I actually wanted to give you the opportunity. Do you have any seminal performances from anybody?
It's not even that much of a crazy performance. I really enjoyed it. Just from the movie, but it's the Doors on the Ed Sullivan Show when they play Light My Fire,
yeah.
and they're all supposed to be censored, and he's like, screw that, and he just let it all out. That really
that
set them up.
He's not supposed to say he's not supposed to say get much higher, I think.
Yeah. And, it really like just set them up for let the people know who this band is. Like
And then he got really upset, and they yelled at him and said, "You'll never play Ed Sullivan again." And he said, "Man, we just played Ed Sullivan." And he just walked out.
Hey Joey.
Like,
you're the originator of this question. And tell me, did you answer yet?
No, I didn't.
So Joey, do you have one? Yeah.
What? Sorry. You were cutting out. One what?
One best performance of all time from anybody?
Oh yeah,
I think Joey is.
Oh man, I have so many favorites, man.
We want to come back to you. We'll go to Tommy and then come back to you. Okay.
Tommy, I think I stole your one, but I hope you have another one.
But I thought of another one, which is the Bruce Springsteen Super Bowl halftime show performance.
Oh,
Man, what a performance that was! He just comes like right out, starting off at like 10th Avenue Freeze Out, and he says this thing like, "Ladies and gentlemen, for the next 12 minutes, we're gonna bring the righteous, yada yada yada." And then the thing that I remember most, after he said that, he goes, "Now you gotta step back from the guacamole dip, and you gotta put your fingers down." I'm like, geez. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. When I look back on it, I'm like, man, that is just. He really just went all out on that performance. And Clarence Clemens was there, which made it great. Rest in peace.
Nice.
Clarence. But
nice.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's
on that, I will also mention on that, because you mentioned halftime show. We were talking about Prince. I don't know if you guys remember Prince's halftime show.
Playing in the rain.
I mean, that was insane. It was like raining. He's singing Purple Rain. It starts raining.
he actually
He's
did
playing an amazing solo.
Poetry in motion.
It was. It's like one of the most amazing, majestic images that you ever see, and nothing went out. Like, I'm sure that because it was he played in the rain. It was unbelievable. Purple Rain in the rain on Super Bowl. A billion people watching.
Prince was like the luckiest guy when it came to this stuff with like best performances, because he got the solo on While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and then he got the rain on Purple Rain.
I know. It's unbelievable. So much unbelievable.
And he deserves it too, because he's a great artist.
Yeah. So we might actually have to wait for next week for Joey's greatest performance of an artist.
Unless you have one, Joey.
I guess the sports tour, man. That's like, that's always been like my favorite concert of all time.
Working for a living on the sports tour.
I don't even have a favorite song for that, bro. That's how much I love it.
The whole thing.
Probably Heart of Rock and Roll.
Tiffany Square was great.
Heart of Rock and Roll, yeah.
When they opened.
I love the drum on that. Do you guys do a lot of Huey Lewis?
I actually have Bill Gibson signed sticks. I met him backstage after the concert.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Joey was there in '85. Yeah, he's a time traveler. You see?
Wow.
When you get break time, you get Joey time traveler.
Or reincarnated.
Marty McFly in the house.
So, to your question, John, we do Working for a Living, and we actually did perform Hip to Be Square with a horn section. It was a two-piece horn section, but a horn section nonetheless. We played those two songs. We are going to add more. Actually, some more recent ones from their most recent.
Heart of Rock and Roll would be great.
Yeah, Heart of Rock and Roll. That's where it started. Yeah, Heart of Rock and Roll. We're actually going to do another number from their Weather album, which was released in February, if I remember, or March. I can't remember. Joey remembers better than I do.
Valentine's Day.
That was. I think that was
Valentine's Day, February.
March, I think. Yeah. No. February. Yeah.
I just Googled it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I think Huey Lewis is one of those bands that's just like the perfect band. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have any egos about them. They went up on stage as is. They weren't flashy, and
they were music.
Put out good rock and roll music. It was just a great band,
And they probably combined like the most genres out of like any band, like especially with their few of their albums. Like Plan B was more designed after like B.B. King and the blues and all that. Small World, their album, they went for more of like a new wave / reggae sound. And then I think for most of their early stuff was like new wave, like almost punk, like classic rock. But yeah, they're probably one of the most versatile bands. Like,
yeah, to your point, John, the fact is they were serious musicians. They were musicians first.
Right.
And they took it seriously. And it showed that they were no frills on stage. That they did what they had to do. They got the crowd behind them, and they got rocking and rolling. That's just a perfect example of a band that knew what they needed to do. They went in, they did their thing, they moved on to the next show.
They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
Yes.
They have to be.
They just got inducted, I think. No, that was Doobie Brothers.
Well, kind of Doobie Brothers. I don't know if they really did get.
Doobie Brothers just
They
got
never
inducted,
had
but
one.
yeah, no, I don't think they're in the Hall of Fame yet. Huey
Are you serious? Oh, that's
Yeah.
not that.
which is
We got to start.
Bull
That's
crap.
a travesty.
We got
No.
to change.
It speaks to the politics that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame plays. You know,
Yep.
Yeah,
down to the whole meaning behind it. You know,
yeah, I know, but anyway, I'm not gonna go there. That's a whole other show.
Yeah.
we could talk about
What?
that in another show.
Yeah, let's talk about that. All right, guys, we're gonna cut this. Want to thank you guys. Great conversation as always, and the goal of this is to kind of bring different topics into the mainstream and try to get. I want to thank everybody who joined us here. Angel, Leslie, Durdana, Mark, Salim, Clayton. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you all again next week for the music makers. If you guys have anybody has any ideas for a topic, shoot them out at me, and we'll talk. Also, bring some guests on. If any of you guys have guests that you want to bring on here, bring them on. And
Yeah.
break
If
time.
anybody's still
Final
here.
thoughts and where we find you.
If anybody's still here, email John Henry Soto. at
Now, here's where you
gmail.com.
email. Contact these.
Oh, you don't even
Here's
have
the contact
It's right there.
for Judicki.
You can find us at www.breaktimelivenj.com and at BreakTimeLiveNJ across all platforms. No spaces, no special characters, no umlauts, no inverted special characters, no omega, no alpha, no beta, no underscores. Just
Again,
at
Straight up.
BreakTime Live, NJ. And you can, on Instagram, we are going under a new rebranding. So we are posting more content and also quality content. So we guarantee you'll have a great time seeing our posts because a break time is a great time. And we appreciate all of you. And thank you. I have been Sean Manuel, band leader extraordinaire of Break Time. You can pre-order my autobiography. It's currently in the works. It's going to be released in 2064. Thank you very much. And being a band is the thesis of my autobiography. Buy it off of Amazon. Pre-order it. 2064. I've been Sean Manuel. Thank you very much.
You'll be able to download it into your brain by then.
I know, right? It'll be
Yeah.
just an injection.
Your brain. Yeah, right
You walk
there.
into Barnes and Noble and they just inject it into your brain. All right, guys. Have a great night. I'll see
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Have a good one.
All right, man. Thank you.
You got it. Take care, man.
Take care.
Oh, actually, hold on one second. You guys still? I'm actually gonna end off. Hold on. I'll edit all this out. Don't worry. All right.
this
I'll
make
see you guys.
See you.
Cheers.
See ya.